in Luke 18, verse 25, it says, it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It is easier for a camel, a huge animal, to fit through the little loop of a stitching needle, right, the eye of the needle, than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why is it so hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven? Because people, right, most people cannot handle material like that. Most people cannot handle having that much money and access to so much stuff, right? Because there's a lot of goods you can do with money and wealth, but there's a lot of bad you can do with a lot of money and wealth, and that's what normally happens because we are not used to having this much material. And we have all this access to this much material, so much more temptation comes and so many more bad things that you have options and opportunities to do. And with that, it pulls you off the track. It pulls you off the path of God. That's why God doesn't, most people don't become wealthy, even as Christians. A lot of people pray for more money and stuff, and most of them just don't get it. It's because God knows we can't handle it. God would rather us get to heaven poor than to go to hell rich. Because he knows if we get all this money, it's going to take us all that path of God. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And he knows we are going to get pulled off the right path from this money, and we're going to get pulled into sinful things, right? That's why it's so hard for people to enter the kingdom of heaven with so much money, because they really have to have a different level of self-control and patience and connection with God to keep them on the right path, because it's really difficult, right? When you have so much access and so much more temptation and so many more chances to sin and do evil things, it's so much harder. So this is why God doesn't just make all of his, children rich, because he'd rather us die poor and go to the kingdom of heaven with him, because all of our riches are there regardless. We have so much riches in the kingdom of heaven for eternity, than go to hell with temporary wealth from the world. Because he knows it's way better for us just to live our lives in whatever income we have that's not obviously rich, and go to heaven and just have our riches there, than have our riches on earth and spend eternity in hell. God knows what's best for us preemptively. God knows that most of us really cannot handle having that much money. So we have to understand God's not just holding money off from you or, putting you in these poor conditions just because. It's because he wants to keep you safe. He wants to keep you on the path of God. He'd rather you die poor or in a bad condition and go to heaven in eternity with great conditions and great wealth than have, this wealth here and die and go to hell. Okay? This is why it's so hard for rich people to go to heaven. It's not possible. There's plenty that are going to be in heaven, but it's hard.